All right, this is going to be a fun one. Today we are taking a look at Transformers Generations Legacy Commander Class Motormaster. This has been a quite anticipated figure. Here is our Commander class for our first year of Legacy here. It seems like they might be continuing on Legacy rather than, just having it be the one toy line for the year. But yeah, here we have Motormaster and his loud and proud big truck with trailer mode. I think it looks pretty good. I mean, so Motormaster himself is actually just the cab here, and then the rest of it, the whole trailer itself, is all of the bits that are required to combine to him to make Menasor. So they're doing combiners again, and they're doing it a little bit differently than last time. Last time Motormaster just was the cab of the truck and was a Voyager class, and then all the deluxe limbs just created the full limbs. They're really going for much more of a cartoon design for Menasor, where, he really kind of was just a skeleton that had the cars kind of stapled onto his arms and legs, I guess. So they're kind of going with that design and then, using the trailer as the way to actually do that rather than having Motormaster like the G1 toy turn into the cab and the trailer, which I think is probably the best solution, the best way to do all of it, because personally, I prefer Motormaster as just turning into the cab, even though that's less G1 accurate, just because it makes the scale problem work so much better. Because, if he's about as tall as Optimus Prime, then he should be turning into a truck like Optimus Prime, not a truck and a trailer. And I think it gives him a reason to have the trailer, but gives it another function rather than, just being part of the robot mode. And yeah, the truck mode on its own, I think it looks pretty good. It's, nice and chunky and blocky. It's a little bit hollow in the back here, but that's not totally inaccurate to how trucks actually are. I mean, really, it's not hollow in the middle, but the whole back section with the wheels on trucks is usually pretty bare bones, rather than the Optimus Prime solution of having enough tech to actually become two full robot legs. This is the hollowness is in the wrong place, but it slightly more accurate to real world tractor trailers. But yeah, no, it looks really good. He's got nice painted windows on the front here with the nice purple paint. And yeah, it rolls nicely. The trailer itself is it's a little awkward looking. I mean, I think that it's doing the best that it can given the circumstances and what else it does, but it's really hefty, and it's very panely. It doesn't have the one purple stripe that continues there. It has all this kind of Menasor chest and combiner ports in the front here. So, it's not beautiful, but I think for what it does, I think it's fine with it being a little bit ugly considering all the stuff that it accomplishes. One thing that I will say that I'm not in love with the trailer is the little stand here, so you can have it standing up when it's not attached to Motormaster, is pretty weak, especially considering the weight that it has to carry with this. And then even the back wheels here kind of hinge out kind of easily too, which kind of sucks. I mean, you can definitely get it to sit and it's fine, but it does not take much to kind of knock it over so that it falls down. But whatever. I can't imagine there'll be that many scenarios in which I'm displaying the trailer on its own and not attached to Motormaster or not transformed into one of its other states. So it's okay. Just pegs in with a normal peg hole in the back here as a trailer hitch. And it does get, just because the weight of it attaches, it does get a pretty good amount of rotation here, which is nice. To compare him with some other figures here, first of all, here he is for the standard one with Kingdom Sideswipe, just so you can see what he looks like with a average deluxe size car there. Here he is for another recent black truck with trailer. Here he is with the Velocitron Scourge mold. I think they look pretty good together. Not that they, necessarily interact that much as characters, but, two big Black Evil trucks, I think it works. Here he is with Earthrise Optimus Prime and his trailer, just so you can see the trailer comparison here, how it's much larger than the leader class Prime. I mean, mine has some extra 3D printed bits on there, but size-wise, it's still the same, which is, I'm fine with that. It's a much bigger trailer. That's okay. There can be a bigger trailer. And if we take the actual cabs themselves here and compare them, it's He's a little bit bigger than Prime, definitely a little bit taller and wider, about just as long. And like, you know, the back section here is definitely shorter than Prime's is. And it honestly is probably more proportionally accurate to this kind of truck than Prime's was. But I think they look pretty good together. They definitely look like, you know, two vehicles that could exist in the same scale with each other. Like, you know, trucks do have a pretty good variation in size. So I think that works pretty well. And then for some other size comparisons, we'll leave the trailer off here for a sec, just so I can show him off with Combiner Wars Motormaster, just so you can see the difference there. I'd say overall the truck mode is probably a little bit smaller, but it's pretty comparable in size. And then here's what he looks like with the trailer attached with him. No, you can't attach the trailer to Combiner Wars Motormaster. One, the port at which it attaches is just completely different, and it's got those two grooves on the side, and two, it's like way too high up, so it would be plugging in like that. So I mean, I guess you can kind of do that, but it doesn't like look, you know, good. But that's all right. Not really designed for that figure. And then last but not least, here he is with Legacy Drag Strip, our only other Stunticon so far. A little strange to get Motormaster as the second Stunticon in our set here, but whatever. It's going to be quite a while before we can actually fully complete Menasor, because like they're pretty much doing like one Stunticon a wave in terms of the deluxes, and we haven't even gotten wave 2 of Legacy yet, which has Wild Rider in it. And then what is it, Dead End is going to be showing up in wave 3. We just recently saw kind of like not even officially revealed images of that, and then we haven't even seen Breakdown, who is supposedly showing up in wave 4. So it's gonna be a minute before we can actually get a full Menasor, but you know, that's what they look like together. So yeah, let's get on into transformation. First off, I'm just going to show how the trailer works, because it has a aside from being the Menasor parts, it also has a third mode of making a little like weapons platform, which is kind of a fun, you know, use of it, so that you can actually do something with it when Motormaster is just in his regular robot mode. And also, like, you know, the original Scramble City combiners all had these sort of like weird base modes that, you know, aren't really acknowledged all that often, so it kind of serves as a reference to that as well. But either way, to transform that, it's pretty much just you're taking it apart here. You want to unplug the top section here, just splitting in half, and this is also where the combined mode sword is held. Well, I mean, I guess it's really more Motormaster's sword. It looks better in his hands than Menasor's, but there's the sword. We'll put that off to the side. And then for this section here, you want to take this little block in the front here and rotate it up like that. And then you can kind of untab this section, and it kind of rotates around this middle piece, and you can take that out. You want to take this section, fold it out to the side like that, fold out these panels here just like that, and then bring it all up at these two hinges in the middle there, and just sandwich it all together so it sits like that. And that's how you want that part, and we'll put that off to the side. For the part with the chest section here, you want to rotate down these sections. They're on pretty heavy ratchets, because those will be the combined mode hips. Just like that, just so they're facing forward. And then you want to take the chest plate here and rotate it around just like that, and then take this little purple piece and just rotate it up like that. And that's how you want this part for now. And then for the top section here, you then go and split this in half, just like that. And we'll do, I guess, these sections first. You want to split them. These will be the combined mode arms. And then these actually for this mode are pretty simple. You just want to take them and fold them like that, so they each sit just like that. And then you want to take the peg holes are kind of offset here because of where the pegs end up on the arms, because they have to interlock with each other when they're plugging together, so they're not like in the same symmetrical place. So you take this one, and that will peg into this peg hole here, and then you take this peg, and that'll go into that one here. So it just sits like, all right, come on, that. And it combines together like that. And then we can take this section. There's two little tabs back here that will go into these two little slots in the underside of the chest piece there. Come on. There we go. Then we'll move that to the back. And then for this section here, you just want to split it this way, and then take this middle section and take that out. This will be the gun here. For this configuration, you want to unfold the gun like this, fold out the handles, and then use this peg hole here to peg it into this peg at the top here, just like that. And then for these sections, you want to take this big panel here, and it'll unfold just like that, and then unfold the rest of the way to kind of fold out the combined mode foot here. And then for each side, the foot has a peg on it on one side, and that will go into a peg on the side of one of these panels here. So you just want to peg it in like that, and then just do the same thing on this side here. And there you have the little base mode, and you know, it's cool for what it is. I think it's definitely a little bit cobbled together. Like, you know, there's the clearly designated part of it of like, okay, you can have a figure stand back here and hold the handle and have the giant gun. Cool, that works. Whatever these are supposed to be, I don't know what the function of those would be when you're actually standing next to it. Like, I guess you could have some small robot climb up here and keep some sort of lookout. I don't know. You know, you could just hide behind it, I guess. It's mostly just pegged in so that those have a place to go. They don't really feel like they serve much of a purpose, but they're there. But yeah, if you want to, you can store the sword on one of the pegs on the back here. I don't even know if that's really official, but it seems like, okay, you can at least have it hold a weapon or something like that. That's not too big a deal, but yeah, that is what this looks like. But for now, let's take that off so we can do the rest of the transformation here. Okay, so to start off here, first thing you want to do is take these panels in the back and just untab them. They don't tab in very strongly. They kind of just, there's a little port right, or a little peg right here that goes into this part of the hip. I've seen some reports of people saying that these panels don't peg in, so they kind of like sit up like that and just refuse to go down. I think one way to solve that problem is if you flip the hips around the other way, because they look a little bit better on the other side in robot mode. So it might be tempting to like put it that way because they're a little bit cleaner on the other side, but it doesn't have the you know, the ability for that peg to go in. So then it just ends up sitting up like that. So if you're having that issue, it's possible that one of the hips might just be rotated the wrong way. So I would give that a check. But either way, we want to take these panels, rotate them out to the side, take these panels and fold them in just like that. And we'll just leave it like that for now. Then you want to take the roof sections here with these upper pieces on the window. You just want to unfold them just like that. And then they'll fold down on a double hinge. And this little peg, or tab rather, right here will go into this slot right here, just like that. And then you want to just loosen up these panels on the side here, just enough to kind of unpeg them, which allows you to bring this section up and fold the whole thing up at the hips, just like that. Then we can split the legs, and then we want to take the wheels and fold them down into the bottom themselves. And the wheels are kind of like really annoying to get back out. It's loosened up a little bit since I first got the figure, but like you can't just like pull them out. You have to like put one thumb on it to kind of widen it out a little bit, and then get a fingernail under there and then pull it out like that. Like I said, it's loosened up a little bit, but it's still pretty annoying. So I don't know. I don't really know what you do with that information, but yeah, the wheels are kind of annoying to get back out. But either way, you put them in like that. And then for the back of the leg here, you want to make sure that these hinges are kind of folded up all the way for the knees. And then you want to take these sections and rotate them around like that, which will give you the clearance to take these panels, fold them in like that, and then take these and fold them onto the back of the leg here. And then once you've done that, you can take these panels that we rotated out from the roof. They are on a separate hinge that folds down like that, and then you can hinge them the rest of the way. And this little tab right here will go into this slot right here. And just do that on both sides. And then for the top section here, you just want to untab the arms from the inside of the back of the truck there, and then rotate them out just like that, and they'll click into place. And then you want to make sure the head is straight, because you want to take this whole section and it'll rotate around back like this. And then this tab right here is going to peg into this spot right here. So you just want to line that up and fold that into place. And then last but not least, you just want to unfold these panels here on the arms and then flip out the hands and fold those back up. And there we have Motormaster in his robot mode. And yeah, he looks really good. It's great how cartoon accurate they were able to make this guy look. There is, if you're familiar with this channel at all, I think you already know where I'm going with this, but if there is one bit of cartoon accuracy on this figure that I am not fond of, it's that they do the cheats to the original toy, of course, was turned into the truck and the trailer. So his feet on the original toy were the cab of the truck. And as a result of that, in the cartoon, even though he looks nothing like the toy otherwise, it's still a design where it still looks like the cab of the truck is his feet, which is silly. And especially for this guy, where he literally turns into the whole cab, it's completely ridiculous that the cab of the truck becomes his feet, because it's got a little cheat here, and then it's got little fake wheels on the side here to make it look like, and little fake doors. And it's like, okay, we're just putting these tiny fake wheels while these regular size wheels are still visible. Like, come on, even if you don't mind cheating, that's still not consistent with the look of the figure. I don't know. I know a lot of people like when they do that so they can make it look as cartoon accurate as possible. But personally, I think that if the design in the cartoon is impossible, you should just change the design a little bit. That's my opinion. I don't know. And especially because, like, when I first saw this figure and I saw what the top of the truck looked like, and saw that it had this cut here, I was like, oh, that's really cool. They're going to kind of replicate the look of the toes here by just doing the upper half and just having a smaller grill. That would be really cool. But no, they didn't do that. This is just part of the leg and is hidden away, even though you can still see the grill here, and they have the tiny fake cab. I can ignore it, but it still just bothers me on principle. I don't know. I wish that they had just gone with an updated design where this is just like a generic robot toe and they didn't put the fake wheels on it or anything. At least if I really wanted to kind of not make it look like the front of the cab here, I could just paint over that grille in black, and I could just paint over the silver on the wheels, and it would still look fine, and it wouldn't really mess with the look too much or be that difficult to do. But that's my perpetual complaint about fake parts. I get why they did it with this one, if the design intent was to make him look like the cartoon model, and I even get that I think for a lot of people that might even be the preference, but for me, it drives me nuts, but that's okay. In terms of articulation, his head is on a swivel here. I think it might technically be on a ball joint, but because of the boxiness of his head, it pretty much acts as just a swivel. There's no wiggle whatsoever. It is just a plain swivel. The shoulders here can swivel around like that and then hinge out to the side. He's got a bicep swivel. It's got about 90 degrees of bend at the elbow there. The wrists are on swivels, which is nice. He's got a waist cut. The hips ratchet forward and back and out to the side. It's kind of a softer ratchet out to the side, but that's okay. He's got a thigh swivel here. He's got a double jointed knee, which, I mean, you're only really using the one joint here, and he even gets a pretty full knee bend there, so that's nice. And then the feet can tilt out to the side. They can also rotate a little bit, but just kind of in, because they're bumping up against this panel if you try to rotate it the other way. And then because of his transformation to combine mode, he does have a separate hinge here, which I guess if you wanted to, you could kind of approximate as like a forward-facing toe joint. Like, I think that works okay. So it makes his foot look a little weird, but it definitely gets at least part of his foot flat on the ground. I think that works. But yeah, no, pretty decent articulation here. And then here's what I'm saying with the hips. Like, this is the way you want them to look in robot mode so that they fold away correctly in truck mode, unless you're willing to, every time you transform him, just bring the leg out to the side and rotate it around and rotate this back around. If you want to do that, I do kind of think that looks cleaner in robot mode as a hip design, but if you flip it that way, just know that you have to actually flip it back for truck mode, otherwise those panels will not tab in. So to each his own. Personally, I don't think it looks enough better to be worth the extra transformation step, so personally, I'm just going to leave it facing forward like they're intended, but I do think that it, just does look marginally better with those pieces facing forward. But yeah, no, pretty decent articulation, pretty good looking robot mode. In terms of his weapon here, we can obviously give him his combined mode sword here, pulling stuff from my desk here. So I keep saying combined mode sword. It's really more meant for him because like it scales better with just Motormaster, and I think he looks great holding it. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any way to store it in this mode. Like, I mean, he can store it on the trailer, but he can't like store it on his person at all. You can't really like slot it in here or anything. I sort of wish that I think that the sword probably would have been better if it had the hole on one side and then a peg on the other side, because I can't really see how that would mess with anything else with the figure, having an extra peg there. And that would mean that you could plug it, flipping him around here, you could plug it onto his back in robot mode. It would give it some extra storage options in the combined mode if you don't want him using it. So I don't know. I might just like 3D print a little peg there to peg that into the hole, and then maybe glue it in place so that it has that extra versatility. But as it is, you know, it doesn't have anywhere to store in robot mode, unfortunately. Or, you know, it also cannot store in just the cab of the truck. You have to have it stored in the trailer. But since he does have the extra base here to kind of plug it into, that is, you know, still an option. And then speaking of that base, let's just get that on here with him so you can see the functionality there. This thing is kind of unwieldy. It's kind of falling apart here when I'm trying to move it. But yeah, that's what he looks like with the base there. And then if you want to, we'll just put the sword over here for now. You can have him stand and actually, you know, use the base. This piece kind of comes on tab pretty easily, but you can have him stand up back here and then actually fold up his hands so he's holding these handles here, just like that, and actually have him man the gun there. And I think that looks pretty good. I mean, this purple section kind of awkwardly sticks into his chest a little bit, but you can fold that up if you want, but then he can't see, so I don't know. It's kind of not great either way, but I guess that can be, you can, you know, role play that that's kind of like a bracer for knockback there, so when he shoots the gun, it's not like, you know, knocking him over or whatever. I don't know. I think that looks pretty cool. I'm probably not going to display him that way just because, you know, I'd prefer to probably just have him standing in front of it rather than that. But, you know, you can do that. I think it's a pretty cool option there. But yeah, we'll take the base off again for now so we can do some more size comparisons with other figures. This is just going to fall apart, so I'm just going to let it fall apart and put it off to the side for now. But all right, let's get him up here. Okay, for first size comparison, just for the boring standard one, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe, that standard size deluxe comparison. Here he is again with Optimus Primes. As you can see, they're pretty much the same height there. He's a commander class, he's a leader class, but his trailer comes with a lot more. So, you know, I like him as a, you know, pretty average size Voyager, a little bit big for a Voyager since Optimus and Megatron are actually pretty large by the rest of the War for Cybertron and later Voyager standards. But yeah, pretty much right to the top of the head there. They're pretty much the same. Speaking of Optimus and Megatron, here he is with Siege Megatron. So you can see a little bit taller, but, you know, I think that they still look pretty good together. Here he is again with the Speedia 500 Scourge there. Cool. Here he is again with Combiner Wars Motormaster, who is quite a bit taller there, but also, you know, I think proportionally he works a lot better just because, you know, I like Combiner Wars Motormaster. I think he was a really good toy for the time, but he definitely has some sections like his weird sort of like flat midriff here and his kind of like awkward face sculpts that I don't think hold up particularly well, and this one definitely captures much more cartoon accuracy. Like it really is quite spot on to the show model, and definitely I think puts poor Combiner Wars Motormaster to shame. And then last but not least, here he is again with Legacy drag strip, just so you can see what the two Stunticons so far look like together. But yeah, that's pretty much it for robot mode. Obviously, the next big thing with this guy is bringing him onto combined mode. So for Motormaster himself, we're going to start off by getting him into his combined mode configuration. You want to just put away the hands and fold them back up with those panels. You want to take this section with the back wheels here. You want to fold it out like that, and it will actually hinge all the way down like this. The armature will plug into the chest there, and then this will fold up and kind of just rest along there. Then we want to take the arms, fold them up just about 90 degrees on their little like white armature pieces there, and then fold them in on these sections, which we didn't use for the truck mode transformation. We'll do this one at a time. Then you want to take this arm, rotate it down, and there is a hole on the wrist stump here that will peg into the back of the wheel section, just like that. And we'll do that on both sides. And that's how you want that to sit. It kind of sits at a weird like angle away from each other. It's not like a perfectly clean sit or anything like that, but that's okay. It doesn't really mess with anything stability wise. Then we want to rotate them around, fold down the section with the head, and then the combined mode head is kind of in a double hinge in here. So you just want to unfold it and bring it up like that and just leave it angled up here for a little bit so we can take the robot mode head, fold it in, and then fold this into the body, and then this panel that the head is on will peg back down into that section. And then we can flip out his horns here. Then you want to rotate them around at the waist. You could have that going on if you want to pull the arms back out. Then you want to rotate the legs just like this, and you want to take these back panels and just loosen them so that you can double hinge the knees just about that far, just so that the hinge here is kind of sitting behind where these panels were and compressing it enough so that you can close these back up. It kind of sits like that. And then you want to bring this section up and use those hinges to put this tab into that slot right there. Kind of tricky to line up sometimes, but once you got it, you got it. And then just do that on both sides here. Come on. There we go. And then you want to take these the roof sections, untab them, and basically put them back how they were in truck mode. Just lock them into the top section here, so they kind of fill out the bottom of the chest here. I mean, it's all going to be hidden away, but still makes it for a little bit cleaner of a picture there. And then you want to take the toes here that, you know, had that hinge that folded out, and you want to rotate it down so this tab goes into that slot right there, just like that. And there you have Menasor, or you know, Motormaster in his component section of this, and then the rest of it is all based on the extra parts. So we'll put him off to the side and grab that stuff. So we'll take all this stuff, and then piece by piece, we'll start with the front section here that will complete the rest of the chest. You just want to rotate it around at the waist, fold down this purple section, and then take the main body here. These two kind of like hinge sections will go into these two holes right here. So you just want to line that up and press it in like that. Then we take these two little gray sections up here, fold those up. They don't really tab in, but they do cover up some of that section there. And then you want to take this purple piece in the back, and that will fold up and peg into a hole back there that's kind of hard to see, just like that. And what's kind of annoying is when you're taking him out, there's really like no good way to grab this piece to unlock it. So you kind of have to like undo the arms a little bit and start transforming this back so that you can actually get your fingers in there and unfold it. And that's not just like a hand size thing, because my hands are actually pretty small. Like, you really can't like, you can kind of, but you're going to kind of hurt your finger doing it. So it's easier to just kind of undo some of these things, which is a little bit annoying, but not the end of the world. So yeah, there's that section. And then for the legs here, we'll just take off the sword for now. The only other thing you want to do is take this panel and flip that up just like that. Make sure you've got the right side here. So that'll be his right leg. You just want to plug it in just like that, and then do that on both sides here. He's going to start getting pretty tall here. So we'll adjust the camera in a sec here. Well, I guess we'll just do it right now. Why not? Okay. Just want to make sure he can be even close to on frame. Yeah, that's good enough. All right. This is going to be quite the unwieldy review. Then you want to take the arms here. You want to, well, I mean, if you had them like this, then, you know, this is one configuration. And then what's kind of cool is for drag strip here, actually is this the right arm for it? Yes, this is the right arm. So we'll show this off now. We'll grab drag strip here, get him back in his car mode. And then what you want to do for this section to get this ready is actually just unfold the hand so it folds out just like that. And then take both of these panels, and they'll kind of double hinge and collapse in on themselves just like that. And that's how you want it. That's not the complete form, but that's how you want it to plug in drag strip. Because if you remember on the drag strip review, he's got this little button that you press in here that you can't actually get to with your fingers, which actually allows the car to separate. And that little slot here is going to correspond with this tab here. And then these two pegs will go into there. And then these two pegs will go into here. And then this bit kind of sits in the arm section there. So you just want to plug that on just like that and get it all connected. And then if you want, you know, I usually take the guns here and I just put them onto the peg holes facing the other way so that they're, you know, facing down the arm in the combined mode, but you can do whatever you want with those. But I'll just put them there for now. And now, because that tab is now pressed in, that allows you to actually separate drag strip here while connected to the arm, and then fold this the rest of the way up. Well, this bit will double hinge like that, so the hinge kind of sits on alignment there, and then this bit will double hinge up like that, and then you pretty much, if you fold these wheels down, there you have one of the combined mode arms, which is pretty cool. And that on the top here, this will just slot over the fake cab section there, just like that. And then we'll do the same thing for the other arm, but since we don't have the other bot here yet, we'll just, you know, skip to the chase and just unfold the arm into its completed form without plugging in anything else, obviously. Just like that. Plug that on. And then, unfortunately, the one big bummer for me in this mode is that this stuff doesn't do anything in the combined mode. Basically, what you're supposed to do with this section is just put this as its own thing, and then instead of having it plugged on like this, like it was for base mode, you're supposed to take this purple panel and fold it up like that, and there's a peg hole in the back of here, so it kind of raises it up a little bit so that it is now more at Menasor height, so he can hold it. That's kind of a bummer that this doesn't have anywhere to like actually store in combined mode, because like part of the whole thing was making the trailer like make it so that the combined mode would not have extra parts that you wouldn't have a place for in the other modes. But as a result of that, now you've got some extra parts that you can't do anything with in the combined mode. So I'm not overly fond of that, and it really would have only taken a couple more tabs or maybe hinges to like just have this be able to store on the back at least. There is one thing you can do with it, which is you can, if you want, separate it so that it folds out like this, and then kind of fold these panels back in, and then fold these in just to kind of make it as compressed as it can be. And then you can take this peg and put that onto the trailer hitch, so it kind of sits into the back like that, and it sort of gives him like wings that stick out to the side, which, you know, I don't think looks like fantastic or anything, but with both cars on there, like you can kind of see it from that side more. But with drag strip on there, like it does kind of hide it from the silhouette, so I think that's probably how I'm gonna end up storing that. And then with this, you can like, you know, just have him hold it as a gun using one of these handles, obviously, which, you know, looks fine. But I also, you know, again, wish that it still had storage. You can kind of like, what can you do? You can use these peg holes down here and use one of the panels like that, and just plug it in on the back there. And then, you know, the sword doesn't really have anywhere to go, but I guess if you did the thing that I suggested, where you just take another peg and put that in there, then the sword could also fit back there similarly and at least kind of even it out a little bit. But I don't know. This is not really designed to store. Really, you're supposed to just have him holding the weapons, but you know, that's just kind of my solution to that. But let's take this stuff off to the side for now so we can show off some articulation for this guy, because he's like a pretty good combined mode here. Obviously, you know, we're missing some parts here. He's got big hollow empty bits on his legs here, and what's supposed to happen is when you plug these guys in, like the guys on the legs, it pushes this button which kind of completes the shins there, which is kind of neat. I think it's a little bit silly, but what's nice about that is for transformation, this bit folds up like that and gives him this kind of, you know, forward ankle tilt. But that's a pretty loose joint, so like if you actually bring him forward, then he can't support that at all. But if you have these actually collapse, then that joint is kind of, you know, erased. Like it's blocked, so it can't actually fold up like that, which helps with stability. So, you know, if you're having issues with the ankles being loose, don't worry. Once the other cars are there, that will solve that problem. But yeah, in terms of articulation, his head sculpt here is just on a swivel, and just rotates back and forth. The shoulders here can rotate around like that on the ratchet. It's maybe a tiny bit looser than it ought to be, but so far it seems to hold up pretty okay. And it can also ratchet out to the side. That is a much stronger ratchet. The elbow here, he's got a bicep swivel at the elbow, and then 90 degrees of bend at the elbow, and a ratcheted wrist joint here. That didn't need to be ratcheted. Could have just made this ratchet stronger, but whatever. Then he's got a waist cut here. The hips can go forward and back and separate there, and out to the side. He's got a thigh swivel here. He's got about 90 degrees of bend at the knee. I'm not sure if that will be blocked by some of the car bots there. I think they'll sit below that, but for now he's got 90 degrees of bend at the knee. And then the ankles, like I said, can tilt forward here, but they're not really designed to once it's all said and done. And they do have ratcheted ankle tilt out to the side, and that's it. So, you know, pretty good articulation, especially for a guy that is this big. I usually like to have him like with, you know, one click out to the side on his hips and feet, and just so he looks a little bit more dynamic. But yeah, no, it's a pretty good looking combined mode so far, and I can't really see the way that those cars attaching making it not look good. So I think we're in for a pretty good Menasor in like a year and a half. But for now, this is the one that we've got. Obviously, he can hold the sword here. I don't think it looks particularly good because it's a little bit short for him, but you can do that. Like I showed off, he can hold the gun or use that, you know, that platform, so he kind of has his has this like gun emplacement that he can hang on to, which seems a little bit redundant to have a giant robot operate the same gun that you could have just operated as the smaller robot. because, you know, the gun doesn't actually get bigger or anything. It just rotates up. So it's so it's taller, so you can do that. I think it's just still kind of silly. I'm not going to bother plugging his other hand in, but like I still think it looks a little bit silly, but that's an option. But yeah, no, in terms of size comparisons, this will be fun trying to get a lot of big bots on here. First and foremost, here he is just for the standard one again with Kingdom Sideswipe. I don't even know if they're on the bottom of the frame there, are they? That's what they look like together. Obviously, very big. Here he is with Earthrise Prime and Siege Megatron, just so you can see what he looks like with the two leaders there. For a pretty, you know, relevant size height comparison, here he is with our first commander class with Jetfire. So you can see he's a little bit taller than Jetfire, but not by a ton. Definitely, you know, Jetfire is kind of combiner height, all said and done, but that's what they look like together. And then last but not least, here he is with Combiner Wars Motormaster and, well, Menasor, I guess, rather, just so you can see the combination there. And yeah, I think that this is a huge glow up for him. I think that, you know, I do like Combiner Wars Motormaster as a figure, but I think that out of all the Combiner Wars combiners, he definitely made the weakest torso. So it's nice that our first new one that we're getting is Menasor, so that we can have a much nicer looking Menasor, because I think most of the other Combiner Wars combiners still look all right, but Menasor always looked kind of awkward. It's just not a great torso design, but yeah, that's what they look like together. And then the last thing I want to talk about here is he does have a little bit of Combiner Wars compatibility, sort of, just in the legs. If you take off the legs here, we'll take off off-road and brake down here and take the rest off to the side. And then we take the legs off of our new Menasor here. It is the same similar connection, like it is still using the system, which I think that they just did because it was a good design and it worked. I don't think it was like designed to be cross-compatible, because it's not for the arms. It's just slots on, you know, with the opposite kind of connection, but not even the same kind of connection. But what you can do, if you don't want to wait, if you're happy putting these pieces off to the side and you want there to be, you know, 3 out of 4 of the carbots attached now, you could plug these in, and they don't, you know, quite fit in there perfectly. Like, they fit in there just fine, but they don't compress in enough to like close the latch. But you can put these guys on this combined mode, and it looks super silly because he just got a lot shorter, because these legs are obviously a bit taller than, you know, where the connections sit on the Combiner Wars torso. So, you know, for height, here he is again with Jetfire. That makes him pretty much the same height, a little bit shorter than Jetfire. And I think it looks super silly. I laughed a lot when I plugged that in. It's just really funny that that's even possible. It probably wouldn't look as silly if I wasn't directly comparing it to the better looking version with him standing a little bit taller, because like truthfully I feel like even this display probably looks a little bit better than Combiner Wars Motormaster, but it's just funny. And then I guess if you want, you could take Dead End and, like, you know, rubber band him onto the other side or something to complete that. But as it is, you know, this is pretty much the only compatibility there. But yeah, I mean, it's a funny kind of Easter egg, if you want to call it that, but obviously that is not really designed to look good. It's really designed to have its own legs, and then you just have more parts that were kind of off to the side from the trailer that didn't work anyway. So yeah, no, I think that it definitely works, and I am excited to get the full Menasor eventually. But yeah, that's this has been quite a long video, but got a lot of stuff to show off here. But that's, I think, pretty much where we're gonna have to end it. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Without further ado, here we have Transformers Generations Legacy Commander Class Motormaster with Menasor.